Most creators believe their marketing struggles because they are not creative enough. They think if they improve editing, improve visuals, or improve design, growth will follow. But that is rarely the real issue. The deeper issue is psychological. Your audience does not click because something looks beautiful. They click because something feels important, relevant, or emotionally charged in that exact moment. Today, attention is not earned slowly. It is decided instantly. When someone scrolls through YouTube, Instagram, or any platform, they are not calmly analyzing every thumbnail. They are scanning. Their brain is filtering hundreds of signals in seconds. And during that process, one silent question is being asked again and again. Is this worth my time? If your thumbnail does not answer that question immediately, the quality of your content becomes irrelevant. No click means no watch time. No watch time means no growth. And this is where many hardworking creators get stuck. They upgrade production, but they never upgrade the click psychology. In this video, we are not just opening Canva to design something attractive. And we are not using AI to generate random ideas. We are going to combine psychology and leverage. First, I'll show you how to design thumbnails in Canva based on click-through psychology. Then I'll show you how to use Gemini to generate stronger hook angles that create curiosity and tension. When you combine thinking with tools, you stop guessing and start building momentum. Many thumbnails fail not because they look bad, but because they ask the viewer to think too much. And thinking, especially while scrolling, feels like effort. When someone scrolls through YouTube, their brain is not in study mode. It is in filtering mode. It is scanning rapidly, eliminating most options without conscious thought. So let me ask you something simple. When you scroll, do you carefully read every thumbnail? Or do you instantly react to the ones that feel different? That reaction is not random. It is psychological. The brain prefers clarity under speed. If a thumbnail requires decoding even slightly, it creates friction. And friction leads to skipping, not because your content is weak, but because the signal was not immediate. Now imagine two thumbnails side by side. One says, Complete Guide to AI Marketing Strategy for 2026. The other says, Your AI strategy is probably wrong. The first one informs, the second one interrupts, the second one creates tension, and tension creates pause. That pause is everything, because attention is rarely earned by detail. It is earned by interruption. A small disruption in expectation forces evaluation, and evaluation opens the door to clicking. This is why cluttered thumbnails underperform. When everything is emphasized, the brain cannot decide what matters most. And when the brain cannot decide quickly, it moves on. Strong thumbnails reduce choice. They present one dominant idea, one emotional direction, one clear signal. And once you begin designing for that moment of decision, not for decoration, your entire marketing approach shifts. Click-through psychology is not just about contrast. It is about emotional positioning. Every thumbnail makes a silent promise. It either promises clarity, transformation, warning, or advantage. And the brain reacts differently to each of those signals. For example, a thumbnail that says step-by-step guide promises structure and safety. A thumbnail that says nobody talks about this promises hidden insight. A thumbnail that says you're doing this wrong promises correction. These are not just phrases. They are psychological frames. So before you even design, you must decide what emotional frame you are using. Are you guiding? Are you challenging? Are you revealing? Or are you warning? Because that frame determines everything that follows. The words you choose, the facial expression if you use one, the color contrast, even the size of the text. Many creators skip this step. They jump directly into Canva and start adjusting fonts and colors. But if the psychological frame is weak, the design cannot save it. Design amplifies emotion. It does not create it. That is why strong marketing always begins with positioning first and execution second. Click-through psychology is not only about contrast, it is about emotional framing. Every thumbnail communicates a specific emotional direction before a single word is consciously processed. The viewer does not just see text, they feel a signal. That signal can feel safe, risky, urgent, exclusive, corrective, or promising. If a thumbnail feels safe, it may inform but not interrupt. If it feels corrective, it may challenge the viewer's current belief. If it feels exclusive, it may trigger curiosity. And if it feels urgent, it may trigger immediate evaluation. The mistake most creators make is not choosing the frame intentionally. They write words, but they do not decide what emotional reaction they want. And without intentional framing, the thumbnail becomes neutral. Neutral does not get clicked. One of the most common mistakes in marketing is playing safe. Safe thumbnails feel polite. They feel informative. They feel correct. But they rarely feel compelling. And compelling is what drives clicks. When a thumbnail tries to avoid tension, it avoids risk. But risk is often what creates attention. Not extreme exaggeration, but controlled challenge. If everything sounds neutral, nothing stands out. The brain does not react strongly to safe signals. It reacts to change, contrast, or uncertainty. For example, compare these two approaches. One says, improve your marketing strategy. The other says, your marketing strategy is holding you back. The first one sounds helpful. The second one introduces friction. That friction creates emotional movement. This does not mean being dramatic. It means being intentional about impact. When you remove all emotional edges from your message, you remove the reason to click. So sometimes the problem is not design quality, it is emotional neutrality. Many creators believe that being professional means being safe, so they choose neutral wording, clean layout, balanced tone, no tension, no strong framing. And while that feels correct, it rarely feels compelling. Imagine a small business coach uploading a video titled 5 Marketing Tips for Growth. It is accurate, it is helpful, it is safe. Now imagine another thumbnail that says, your marketing is wasting money. Same topic, different framing. The second one creates immediate evaluation. The viewer begins to wonder, is that about me? That moment of self-questioning is powerful. It creates internal dialogue, and internal dialogue slows scrolling. Safe thumbnails avoid that reaction. They aim not to offend. But in doing so, they remove emotional edge. Without emotional edge, there is no interruption. And without interruption, there is no click. The goal is not drama. It is controlled friction, a slight challenge, a subtle tension, a positioning shift that makes the viewer reevaluate something they assumed. When you design with that awareness, you stop asking, does this look good? And start asking, does this provoke thought? That small shift changes performance dramatically. All of this psychological framing sounds strategic, but it must translate into something practical. Otherwise, it remains theory. The real advantage comes when you move from understanding attention to designing for it intentionally. At this point, the mistake most creators make is jumping into Canva without clarity. They open the template library, they scroll, they try different fonts, they experiment with layouts, but they are experimenting without direction. Design should not begin with tools. It should begin with intention. If you already know your emotional frame and your dominant idea, Canva becomes simple. You are no longer designing randomly. You are executing a decision you have already made. So now, let's open Canva and apply what we discussed. Not to decorate, but to structure attention correctly. Understanding psychology is powerful, but let me make this very practical. Imagine you have already decided your emotional frame. Let's say your video challenges a common belief. Now, when you open Canva, you are not searching randomly. You are looking for a layout that supports that challenge. For example, if your frame is corrective, your text must feel bold and direct. Your color contrast must highlight urgency. Your layout must isolate the key message, not surround it with decorative elements. The design supports the tension you chose earlier. Now imagine the opposite situation. You open Canva first, pick a trendy template, adjust some colors, and then try to fit your message into that structure. The design is leading, the psychology is following. And when psychology follows design, performance usually drops. That is why experienced marketers make decisions before they open tools. The tool should execute strategy, not define it. So as we move into Canva, keep this in mind. You are not designing, you are positioning. Struggling to make YouTube thumbnails that actually grab attention? Don't worry, you don't need to be a designer. With Canva's AI-powered tools, you can create eye-catching thumbnails in minutes that drive click and make your video stand out. Start by opening Canva on your computer or mobile device. Log into your account at first. Then you will find Canva AI option at the top. In Canva, you can view features like text-to-image magic design to generate images for your thumbnail. Instead of manually searching for images, you will write a detailed AI prompt describing exactly what you want. For example, if your video is about flipping houses, your prompt would be this. I can make this prompt for making my thumbnail. You can change it as your brand color and what you want to give as a headline on your YouTube thumbnail, so I just copy and put it on the description box and then submit it. Now Canva start making our thumbnails. Once AI generate the image, drag it to your thumbnail design. Or using Canva, you can edit it again. You can resize and crop if needed. Make sure the main focus is clear design. So from Use Canva Editor option, I can edit it. Fix and flip strategy as the main headline. We will change it according to you. You will put your own brand colors for your thumbnails. Then from here, you can preview your thumbnail. You can preview the text and visual remain clear, and if needed, make adjustment and alignment as needed. After make changes, once you are happy with your design, export it as a high-quality PNG or JP model. Your thumbnail is now ready to view. After reviewing, you can download it. You can go on Share option, then find the download options. Click on the download option, your PNG is ready. Then click on the download and here is your thumbnail. That's all. By combining Canva's design tools with AI-generated images, you can create professional high-converting thumbnails in minutes, even if you are not a designer. The key is writing details prompt using bold text and emphasizing clear and contrast to make your thumbnail stand out. What you just saw looks simple, and that is the point. Click-through psychology does not require complex design skills. It requires clarity. Once you choose the emotional direction and simplify the message, Canva becomes fast. But here is something important to understand. A strong thumbnail increases the chance of a click. It does not guarantee performance, because a thumbnail without a strong hook idea is still limited. You can design contrast perfectly. You can isolate text beautifully. But if the message itself is weak or predictable, the result will still feel average. Design amplifies ideas. It does not rescue them. This is where many creators stop. They improve design and expect growth. But growth requires two layers working together, the psychological frame and the verbal hook. So now we shift to the second tool, not for design, for idea generation. Because without a strong angle, even the best design has limits. The thumbnail you just created might look simple, but simplicity in marketing is rarely accidental. It is the result of clarity. When you understand the emotional frame and isolate one dominant idea, design becomes faster and more intentional. But let me challenge you for a moment. Think about the last time you redesigned a thumbnail. Did you change the message first, or did you change the layout first? Most people adjust fonts, colors, or elements before they question the angle itself. And that is where growth stalls. Imagine two creators using the same Canva layout. One writes AI marketing tips. The other writes, your AI strategy is failing. Same design structure, completely different psychological impact. The difference is not the tool, it is the framing. This is why improving design alone does not transform results. Design amplifies whatever message you place inside it. If the message is average, the output feels average. If the message creates tension, the output feels compelling. So before we move forward, remember this. Canva executes. It does not invent. The invention happens at the idea level, and that idea level is where AI becomes powerful. Most creators do not struggle with design. They struggle with angles. They know their topic, they know their expertise. But when it comes to turning that expertise into a compelling hook, they default to generic phrasing. They write titles like How to Improve Your Branding or AI Marketing Guide. These titles are not wrong. They are simply predictable. And predictability reduces urgency. The real challenge is not producing content. It is choosing the angle that creates tension or curiosity. And angle selection is often where people get stuck because they are too close to their own knowledge. They know too much, so they explain instead of framing. This is where AI can help, not by thinking for you, but by generating multiple psychological variations quickly. It allows you to see your topic from different angles, which makes selection easier. Before we open Gemini, you need to understand that we are not asking it for random titles. We are using it to explore tension. The difficulty with angle selection is rarely technical. It is emotional. When you are close to your own expertise, everything feels important. So you try to communicate everything. You explain instead of provoke. You educate instead of interrupt. Let me give you a simple contrast. Imagine a branding consultant creating a video. From their perspective, they want to explain positioning frameworks, customer avatars, and messaging clarity. But the audience is not searching for frameworks. They are searching for relief. Relief from confusion. Relief from slow growth. Relief from inconsistent results. So if the consultant titles the video, Understanding Brand Positioning Frameworks, it sounds correct but distant. If they frame it as why your brand feels invisible, suddenly the topic becomes personal. The content did not change. The angle did. That is the difference between explaining and framing. Explaining communicates knowledge. Framing creates emotional entry. And this is exactly where AI becomes useful. Not as a replacement for thinking, but as a mirror. It shows you multiple possible framings of the same idea. Some will be weak, some will be powerful, but seeing variations side by side makes the difference obvious. Before we open Gemini, understand this clearly. We are not outsourcing creativity. We are expanding perspective. Most people use AI the way they use search engines. They type something simple like, give me a YouTube title or create marketing ideas, and they expect strong results. But AI does not work well with vague input. It mirrors the clarity you give it. If your instruction is generic, the output will be generic. And when you receive generic hooks, you assume AI is limited. In reality, the limitation is framing. AI is not creative by itself. It reorganizes patterns based on your direction. So when you guide it with audience context, emotional frame, and specific tension, the results become dramatically stronger. For example, instead of asking, give me thumbnail ideas about branding, you might say, generate 10 thumbnail hooks that challenge small business owners who feel invisible in crowded markets. The second prompt has emotional clarity, and emotional clarity produces sharper output. So the difference is not the tool, it is the quality of instruction. When someone says, AI gives generic results, what they are usually describing is not a tool problem, it is a direction problem. AI does not invent from intention, it responds to structure. Imagine two creators asking for thumbnail hooks. One types, give me YouTube titles about marketing. The other types, generate 15 high-tension thumbnail hooks that challenge small business owners who feel stuck despite posting consistently. The second request carries emotional context, audience clarity, and psychological direction. Naturally, the output changes. This is similar to briefing a human designer. If you say, make something nice, you get something average. If you say, create something bold that challenges common beliefs and feels slightly uncomfortable, you get something intentional. AI behaves the same way. So when hooks feel weak, it is rarely because AI lacks creativity. It is because the prompt lacked positioning. Understanding this shift changes how you approach tools. You stop asking for answers. You start asking for variations within a specific emotional frame. And that is exactly what we are about to demonstrate. Now that you understand how framing changes output, let's apply this inside Gemini. We are not asking it for random titles. We are guiding it with psychological direction. The goal is to generate multiple thumbnail hook angles quickly so we can choose the strongest one. As you watch this tutorial, pay attention not only to the tool but to the structure of the prompt. Notice how audience, tension, and emotional direction are included. That is the difference between average output and strategic output. Let's open Gemini. Struggling to design eye-catching creatives for ads or social media? Let me show you how to create high-quality creatives using Google Gemini even if you are not a designer. First, go to your Google Gemini and sign in with your Google account. This is where all the magic starts. Gemini works best when your prompt is complete. Now I will show you how I can make a prompt. So for this, I go to ChatGPT and say ChatGPT to make a prompt. Now you will give the details. I will give these details to the ChatGPT where I mentioned the colors, the platform styles, and our brand name. Then ChatGPT make a prompt for us. Now look, this is our prompt with our all brand color and name are specified. We just copy it from the ChatGPT and put it on Google Gemini. And that's all. If you don't like first result, you can refine it by saying make more bold, add stronger CTA, make it suitable for meta ads. Now look how much perfectly Gemini creating and give it to me. This is our brand name and our creatives are ready. Using Gemini saves time, boosts creativity, and helps you design faster. At the beginning of this video, I said your marketing is not failing because you lack creativity. It is failing because you are not designing for psychology. Now you've seen the difference. You saw how emotional framing changes perception. You saw how safe messaging reduces impact. You saw how Canva executes clarity when the angle is strong. And you saw how Gemini expands perspective when you guide it correctly. The tools themselves are not the advantage. The order is the advantage. Psychology first, angle second, design third, testing always. When you follow that sequence, marketing stops feeling random. It becomes repeatable. And repeatability is what creates consistent growth. If this helped you, don't just redesign your next thumbnail, redesign your workflow. Because the creators who grow in this AI era are not the ones chasing tools. They are the ones building systems. Subscribe to Brand Locally if you want more structured strategies like this. And in the comments, tell me one thing you're changing in your next thumbnail. We're not here to decorate content, we're here to position it. Let me leave you with one final perspective. The biggest mistake creators make in this AI era is thinking that tools are the advantage. They jump from platform to platform, chasing the newest update, hoping something will unlock growth. But tools do not create clarity. Structure does. If you understand psychology, tools become multipliers. If you don't, tools become distractions. That is why two people can use the same Canva template and get completely different results. It is not the template, it is the thinking behind it. So as you move forward, don't ask, which tool should I try next? Ask, what layer am I missing in my process? Is it the frame, the angle, the execution, or the testing? When you start diagnosing your marketing instead of decorating it, improvement becomes measurable. That is how professionals think. And that is how you stop posting randomly and start publishing strategically.